Follows is not just a friendship, but a radical act of courage. A boy defying everything he's been taught, risking everything he knows, just to do what feels right. But let me tell you, none of this would work. None of it would mean anything without the visionaries who brought it to life. At the helm are Dean DeBois and Chris Sanders, directors who previously co-wrote and co-directed Disney's Lilo and Stitch. They know how to balance humor with heart, how to create characters you don't just watch, you care for them. With DreamWorks Animation as the studio behind it, you already expect a certain level of polish and artistry. But this film isn't just good for an animated movie. It's spectacular, period. Let's talk about the cast. Jay Baruchel brings Hiccup to life, his voice carrying just the right mix of uncertainty, hope, and quiet rebellion. Gerard Butler, as Stoic, gives a performance that's equal parts booming command and vulnerable fatherhood. America Ferrera, voicing Astrid, brings warmth and strength to Hiccup's fiercest companion and eventual love interest. Craig Ferguson, Christopher Mintz-Blass, Jonah Hill, T.J. Miller, and Kristen Wiig round out the cast, infusing the world with humor and personality. Every line, every quip and heartfelt confession feels lived in and real, not just read from a script. But How to Train Your Dragon doesn't just win your heart with voices. It sweeps you away with sound. The musical score by John Powell is, without exaggeration, one of the most stirring, rousing, and unforgettable soundtracks ever composed for animation. The moment you hear those swelling strings, that Scottish flair, those lilting pipes, you know you're in for a journey. The main theme, Test Drive, is pure exhilaration. It's not just background music. It's the emotional current that propels you along, soaring as Hiccup and Toothless take flight together for the first time. If you've ever longed for the feeling of flight, of weightlessness, of possibility, Powell's score puts wings on your heart. What's astonishing is how this story comes alive visually. The animators at DreamWorks used cutting-edge technology to give the film a cinematic look, and they brought in none other than Roger Deakins. Yes, the Roger Deakins, legendary cinematographer behind films like Skyfall, Blade Runner 2049, and No Country for Old Men, as a visual consultant. The result? Every frame is a painting. The lighting, the movement of clouds, the shimmer on a dragon's scales, the swirling northern lights, all of it feels tangible, textured, cinematic. The flying sequences, especially, are unlike anything you've seen in animation. You don't just watch them, you feel them. The camera sweeps and dips, spinning with dizzying freedom through the clouds. It's a masterclass in animated cinematography, and it's set a new bar for the industry. Let's talk numbers for a second. Because if you ever wonder whether this movie was a hit, the answer is a resounding yes. With a reported budget of around $165 million, How to Train Your Dragon was a massive undertaking for DreamWorks. It was a risk. Animated movies don't come cheap, and at the time, dragons weren't the surest bet at the box office. But that risk paid off spectacularly. The film grossed nearly $500 million worldwide, becoming one of the highest-grossing films of 2010. But more than the money, it was a critical acclaim, the kind you can't buy, that cemented its legacy. How to Train Your Dragon was nominated for 2 Academy Awards, Best Animated Feature and Best Original Score. Sure, it had to go up against Pixar's Toy Story 3, a juggernaut in its own right, but the very fact that it was considered in the same league says everything. It won 10 Annie Awards, including Best Animated Feature, and went on to become one of DreamWorks' most beloved franchises, spawning 2 equally acclaimed sequels and a slew of spin-off series and merchandise. But nothing beats the original. Now, every great film has a story behind the scenes, and How to Train Your Dragon is no exception. Did you know that the movie is loosely based on the book by Cressida Cowell? But the adaptation was a radical departure. The filmmakers decided to age the characters, intensify the action, and deepen the emotional stakes. Toothless, for instance, looks nothing like his book counterpart. The design was a point of endless experimentation. In the end, they gave him cat-like eyes, a dog-like loyalty, and the playfulness of a horse, making him instantly lovable